Hello, everybody, and welcome to Take Your Medicine. I am Toby, and this is Billy, and this is Bennett. And we're happy to be here on this Saturday. Huh, Billy? Today, what is it, Billy? What is it? It's episode 24. Yes, we're almost a quarter of the way done. I remember being excited about being almost a tenth of the way done. So here we are, getting close. It's been a pretty busy week. We've had 2 graduations this week. Got the sound bowl. So there's been a lot going on, but happy to be here. Went on a walk with my son Anthony this morning. We hugged several trees. He has one tree in particular. We walk every day by what we call the auntie trees. Those are the trees where I had my very first initial visions that changed the entire course of my life. And we walked past those, and there's one of Anthony's very favorite trees right past the auntie trees, and he calls that tree Richard. And he's been talking about it for a while, that today is Richard's birthday. So he's been kind of counting down the days. So today we gave Richard extra love, kisses, hugs, compliments, and celebrated Richard's birthday with him. So Anthony has always been really connected to nature, and he's always had like a favorite rock and talks to the rocks, talks to the trees as a little kid. And so I'm really grateful that he's in tune in that way. It's pretty fun. It seems like little kids always have an easier time just being connected and tune with nature. The little kids teach us so much. I was thinking I could start today by pulling a card. Why did you sit all the way over there? You don't want to be in the camera today? All right. I'm going to pull a card and see if we can get some wisdom. This is my very favorite card deck. It's an animal spirit card deck, and it has a few mythical animals and mostly well-known earth animals. And as somebody who feels really connected to nature, I feel like each animal has a spirit, and it's almost like its own archetype that we can learn from and use in our lives to help us be happier. So let's pull one. Should we? Should we, Bennett? All right, I'm going to cut them. I like to cut them 3 ways, just like that. And what do we have? Wow, this is so interesting, because I would have completely forgotten to tell this little story from our walk. Anthony and I were walking back the other way from the auntie trees on our walk, and right in the middle of the sidewalk was a little blue, baby blue egg. And we've been trying to figure out what kind of egg it was. And one of the birds listed as what it might be is the nightingale. So this gives me chills. Like, what? How fun. This is my first time, I think, ever pulling the nightingale card. And we have a bird egg in our home. I have it under a heating lamp with some humidity, and I'm doing some research to figure out how we can help let this egg hatch. But I don't think the chances are good that we'll be able to help it survive. I looked at the egg in the dark with a flashlight, and it looks like just pure liquid inside, which means it was probably just laid or maybe never even fertilized. I'm not really sure. Need to do more research, but what a cool synchronicity. After some more research, I figured out, I think it's a robin egg, but nightingale was definitely one of the choices. And the egg that we found is about that same bluish greenish color. So how cool is that I guess we are supposed to be learning today from bird symbolism. What I learned from the bird before we go to the book is to change my perspective. Everything in life is perspective. There's this cool story. I can't remember exactly where it comes from, but it's like an ancient Eastern story or something about several blind people touching an elephant and describing what an elephant is. And one person is holding or touching its husks, and it says it's like hard and pointy, and another person is touching its tail, and that person says the elephant is like a rope, and someone else is touching its ear, and it's saying it's like floppy and like a blanket, and another person is touching its skin and it's talking about how it's just flat and furry and warm. And so we all have a very limited perspective, and even just with our own eyesight, we can only see a tiny percentage of the full spectrum of light. So our eyes are actually very limiting to the reality around us too. So when we can lift our perspective and see things from a higher view, we can see so much more and open our horizons. And so that is what the bird reminds me to do. Let's see how cool. Oh my God, I turned right to it. What a cool day. I love it. These things bring me so much joy. It just feels like the bird, the nightingale, is something we're supposed to learn from. I literally just less than an hour ago found a baby bird egg. How cool. Okay, so here it is. This feels like the universe really has a message for us today. Nightingale, fearless voice, speech, communication, or song. The song of the nightingale is otherworldly. This simple brown bird, almost unnoticeable among the flashy plumage of other birds, transports its listener to the realm of poetry. Nightingale energy is with us when we write, compose, and especially when we sing. It reminds us that music heals the deepest wounds. This card indicates a need to open the bridge between the heart and the voice. Is there something you need to say? How long has it been since you sang? Turn it up, write it down, and let it out. When in balance, a nightingale energy sings, speaks freely, and with kindness. When out of balance, a nightingale energy is shy and has a lump in the throat. To bring a nightingale into balance, music. How beautiful. What a gorgeous message to start off our day. It just gives me chills. Lately, I've been using music a little bit more. I think that when I was younger, music affects me so much that I would avoid listening to a lot of music because it overwhelms me to emotion. But these higher dimensional beings that I have been able to get comfortable with now, I can see them in the light when I'm driving. And I've learned that singing to them is a way of bringing myself into alignment with them. And I don't have, a nightingale's voice, that's for sure. But it has helped me a lot to feel the spirit. When I open my voice chakra and I allow myself to sing freely, I am transported into a higher dimension. That's how it feels. I get chills all over my body. I am filled with the spirit. And so maybe this is my reminder to keep singing, and maybe a reminder to you too. Thank you, Nightingale. Oh my goodness, the birds are alive today. That was really cool. I also wanted to read a quote from Teal Swan. Teal Swan is an influencer. I don't know what she considers herself, but I would consider her a spiritual teacher. And I've really enjoyed a lot of the things that she puts out. She has a lot of interesting things to say. And one thing that I heard her say most recently was about loving yourself and how that relates to partnership. A lot of times I have told people, and I've even read it in books, plenty of books, that you can only love others to the extent that you love yourself. So the advice a lot of spiritual teachers and mentors will give is to not get into a partnership. Hi, Betty. Hi. Not get into a partnership until you completely love yourself. But I've had a very different experience in that. When I met my soulmate and my partner, I literally hated myself. I was not able to look in the mirror without having so many criticisms. I couldn't see anything beautiful. I literally despised myself, and I had, the lowest self-esteem of anyone I knew. And the love that AJ has shown me and the partnership that we've formed together has helped me learn how to love myself. And partnership can be a wonderful tool for that. So Teal Swan says, the idea that you've got to love yourself first to find someone who loves you is wrong. Not only is it not true, it causes people extreme pain and causes them to approach self-love from a totally wrong angle. And I completely agree with that. I think even in past days, I've expressed that to my children, like, you need to heal yourself before you get into a partnership. And it is true that we will attract a partner on the same energetic level as we are. Everything is frequency, including us. You're so funny. And so we will attract a partner that is on a similar frequency to us. So the more we raise our vibration and heal ourselves, the more healthy of a partner we will attract into our lives. And that is just true. But two people that have good intentions, good hearts, and who want to learn and grow together, two can be a very powerful partnership for growth and evolution and self-improvement, especially when both are committed to being better for the other and to learning and to changing. And so I would just, I don't know, I think it's a really good point to make that, of course, we all need to be making an effort to love ourselves more. And that's actually something I want to talk about today. But also that we don't have to stay alone and in isolation until we figure out who we are or how to love ourselves. And sometimes the partnerships we get into, even when they are difficult partnerships and they are not the best long-term partnership, we learn a lot from those experiences, and we can take from that and learn how to value ourselves, learn what we deserve, and then attract a better level of human who is willing to be more, growth minded. So that quote from Teal Swan I really liked. Another thing I wanted to talk about as far as self-love goes is the importance of mantras and repetition and just becoming aware of your thoughts. Your thoughts determine your actions. Your thoughts literally determine your reality. And so the first part for me of learning to love myself was getting in touch with the thoughts I was allowing myself to think. We don't think our thoughts are a choice because they happen so automatically, but we can pull back a little bit and start to be aware of the thoughts that we're thinking and the way that we speak to ourselves. And that can be the first step in learning to love ourselves. So for me, I've used mantras a lot, and 3 of the mantras that I've used, and I use them together and I use them separately and I repeat them over and over and over and over again, is I love myself, I approve of myself, and I am who I am, and that is enough. I love myself, I approve of myself, I am who I am, and that is enough. And self-love, to say that is enough, a lot of people who have perfectionist complexes tend to think, well, I don't want to be enough just as I am. I want to get better. But the thing is, as we accept ourselves exactly as we are able to grow in whatever way we want, because shaming ourselves keeps us on a low vibration, and we will make far less progress if we are in shame and self-loathing and self-criticism. We will make so much more progress if we love ourselves exactly as we are now, and then move in whatever direction we want toward our own growth. So saying, I am who I am, and that is enough, does not mean that we stop growing. I kind of struggled with that mantra for a while because of my perfectionism. And I've learned to say, no, that is absolutely true. Today, I am enough exactly as I am. And as I raise my vibration with these mantras and repetition of just learning to love myself through training my brain, you're so needy. It's funny, but that's not new. I find myself wanting to learn and grow in new ways. I recently took a 5-week painting course, and that was such a beautiful experience. That's the second one I've taken. And I have to raise my vibration to be inspired to do these kinds of creative things. So I love myself. I approve of myself. I am who I am, and that is enough. And one of the most powerful ways that we can say these mantras is to look ourselves in the eye, in the mirror, and say that to yourself. Because looking in your eyes is a powerful practice. In the mirror, forcing yourself to just look at yourself and smile and say kind things is very, very powerful. And it's been scientifically proven. Look it up. There's even TED Talks about mirror work and repetition and mantras and how they train the brain. The brain is an operating system. It's like a computer, and it does what it's trained to do. And repetition literally strengthens synapses, forms new neurons, and it also is like rewriting the software of the computer so that you're eventually, basically, you're faking it till you're making it, repeating these mantras over and over again until your brain literally believes it and you start to embody a person that truly loves themselves. And then your computer is literally operating on a new system that is much more beneficial to your life, that will attract so many wonderful things into your life because you're on that higher vibration. So I recommend very strongly to look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I approve of you. You are wonderful exactly as you are. Smile to yourself. Just the act of smiling sends a chemical reaction through your body. It literally helps you improve your life and your physical health to smile more. So I challenge you to do that. One more thing I wanted to talk about, and this is not going to be the longest episode today. I wanted to talk about the concept of surrender because I've been listening to Eckhart Tolle, my favorite book. Do I have it in here? It's called A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. So surrender to me means radical acceptance and learning to live in alignment with the flow of life. I used to think that to be happy, I had to control everything and everyone around me, but really it was just to be safe. I think a lot of trauma in one's life can cause that person to feel the need to control the variables around them so that they feel safe. And what I realized in doing all of my spiritual studies in the last few years is that surrender leads to freedom and surrender leads to peace. And surrender does not mean inaction. Surrender actually just means radically accepting what is and moving and taking action in alignment with what is instead of the opposite, which is resisting what is. When we're going against the current, it's much more difficult to swim in the water. But when you choose to flow with what is, you are at peace and you don't have to do much effort at all. And you're moving still. So you're making a lot more progress if you choose to be in alignment with the flow of life. What does that mean? Well, We know that our thoughts can affect the world around us at the scientific level. Photons, electrons are affected by the thoughts we think. You know, quantum physics teaches us that a particle is a wave until we put our consciousness in it, and then it turns into a particle. Or a photon is a wave until we put our attention on it, and then it turns into a particle. It's wild, but we can literally create with the thoughts that we think. So we're not completely powerless over our life, and that's why mantras and self-love and changing our perspective to that bird's eye view is so important. But there are plenty of things that we cannot control. And in the last year, I have had to learn that in the most difficult way that I could have ever imagined. You know, an extreme loss in my life, literally my biggest fear of my entire life coming to fruition, losing a child to a situation that I could not control, is the most difficult and unimaginable thing possible. And grief, the stages of grief is when you're grieving a loss like that, you don't want to accept it. And I don't think I'm fully there, but I am working toward radical acceptance of what is, because there are certain things in life that we just don't have control over. And the more we choose to accept what is and to have a positive perspective and to try and learn and to grow from what is happening in our lives, the more at peace we will be and the more helpful we will be to the people and plants and earth around us. So I would challenge you in your life to look at what you're resisting in your life, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your job. There are all kinds of areas that we want to resist, and we fight against it and push and push. How can you be more accepting of what is? How can you let go a little bit? How can you surrender and say, okay, this is what it is, and I'm going to choose to not resist it anymore, and see the openness and the freedom and the peace that starts to come into your life simply by letting go of your need to control. So that is my message for you today. I am so excited about all this bird energy. It's going to remind me to sing and to use my voice, in a positive and helpful and productive way, and also to change my perspective. So I hope that's helpful to you. We love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day or morning or evening or wherever you're at. I love you. Namaste.